What's up, everyone? Welcome to Bluegrass State of Mind, the show where three college roommates talk life, sports, and all the ridiculous things that happen in an apartment we like to refer to as Room 302. We're bringing you stories, hot takes, and the kind of late-night debates that probably should have stayed in the group chat.
So grab your headphones, sit back, and get ready for a wild ride through our past college life, sports, and everything in between. Let's get into it. This is Bluegrass State of Mind.
Hello, friends. Welcome back to another episode of Bluegrass State of Mind. We had to start with the intro, fellas. It is the Masters week. You can see we all rip in green. Three of us showed up in green. I'm not going to say who didn't. But yeah, we got to rip it, you know. It's every year, once a year. It's the best time of the year. It's just a great week. Unfortunately, we're all working while Trey's getting to golf and watch the Masters full time, enjoying the break. I remember those days. Here's a little breakdown of tonight's episode. We're going to kind of recap the championship game of the Michigan Wolverines and UConn Huskies, get into Kentucky talk, who is leaving, who is staying, who are we looking at, and then we're going to end the night on some Masters picks. We're going to do kind of a little snake draft where we all pick. We're going to do 4 picks apiece. We'll post these as well, I believe, on our socials. And then also we're going to do a little Masters dinner ourselves. So that's something that they do every year. So Colton had a good idea of let's just create, our own Masters dinner and post and see who has the best Masters dinner. So let's get into the national championship game, which was played on Monday night against the Michigan Wolverines and the UConn Huskies. Michigan ends up winning the game of a score of 69-63. This was located in Indianapolis. This is Michigan's first national championship since 1989 and the second in program history, which was really big, I feel like, for us Kentucky fans, because had UConn won, that would have been their 7th title since 1999. You're looking at in, 27 years, 7 titles. And then that would have put them in 3rd place alone behind UCLA at 1, Kentucky at 2, and then UConn at 3. But now they remain tied with Duke. Fellas, I think my initial thoughts, I'm just going to be straight up honest with you. I watched the whole first half. Halftime, I had to put Hayes to sleep, fell asleep. And that's kind of how I felt about the first half. I didn't watch the second half. I mean, when I'm looking at this score of the first half, it was 29-33. Like, seen a lot of really good sets, a lot of missed shots though. And in my sense of it, I'm not saying it wasn't a good game. It just wasn't that high-powered offense game that I'm used to. That I would have liked to have seen, but it was a good game overall, I guess, for the first half. I can't speak on the second half. So that's where I'm going to turn it to you guys. Anybody watched the second half and can elaborate on just the game itself? We'll touch bases on who played very well for them, but just what was some takeaways from the game itself other than, wishing that was Kentucky being there? Anybody?
Yeah, so obviously it was a terrible shooting game, but it was a very physical game. Both teams were playing extremely hard. The refs kind of called a lot early, but not as much in the second half. So it kept UConn. UConn had some foul trouble there, and Michigan they had quite a few more free throws than UConn. But then the second half, they kind of let them play a little more. But they just neither team shot the ball well. It was just not a good shooting performance. But really, if you could have added some decent shooting to that, it would have been a really good game. The intensity was there the whole game between the two teams. But my biggest takeaway is 2 things. One, for the Michigan side, is Dusty May come in 2 years ago, took over an 8-24 Michigan team, and is now just won a national championship. So I'm just saying, and that team was in a worse spot than what we are. It can be done. So we kind of need to get that mindset of it takes several years to rebuild back. No, we were in a much better shape when the last couple of years. So that's kind of heartbreaking to see, but credit to Dusty May, one of the best coaches out there, obviously, and they had 5 transfers in their starting 5. And the other point is UConn offense. I love it. I love watching UConn's offense. They go through so many ball screens and so much off the ball movement, which is what I thought we were going to do. And if you watch UConn, they don't have a star. They don't have a stud. Like Caravan's a guy that you want on your college team for 4 years, but they didn't have a guy, which we didn't either. But the way that they compete is that they just get random people open and they just constant movement, and it makes the team that if whoever just a little lazy on defense, that guy's going to be open. And I sat there and thought to myself, man, like that right there is the type of offense that we should be running. Like we probably had a few better players. I mean, Owe was probably more of a star than anyone they got. And so I just, those are my two biggest takeaways is one, coach comes in 2 years and wins a national championship. And the other is an offense that I thought we were going to run.
Yeah, I think those are really good takes. I want to swing it over. I was hoping that Chad would be able to join us tonight because I know he has some. He really likes to get into this discussion. But Trey, I want to ask you. Okay, I want to hear your total thoughts on this, and Mason, I want you to pitch in as well between you two. But I'll start with Trey. Trey, when we're looking at the NBA draft this year, I think you're looking at a loaded freshman class. Cameron Boozer, AJ DeBonsa, Darius Acuff, Darren Peterson, Caleb Wilson, Kingston Flemings. I mean, the list goes on and on. I mean, your top picks, top 10 picks, I would probably put all my money that 8 of the 10, 7 of the 10 are going to be all freshmen. Okay. But then you look at the lineup against these two national championship contender teams who played in the national championship. As Colton had already mentioned, you have Michigan, who had 5 transfers, 1 sophomore starter, 2 junior starters, 2 senior grad transfers. UConn, you have 1 freshman, 2 juniors, 2 seniors. So collectively, out of that starting 5, you have 1 freshman starting. I'm bringing this up because I just want to whenever people say that you need freshmen, you need freshmen, you look at this team and you have 1 freshman amongst starters of 10. And then I just listed all of those NBA draft picks that there are these star-studded freshmen, and they were out of the tournament. What's your thoughts on that? Like, do you think that is it you can't win anymore? Like I felt like last year that was, but then this year we've seen all these great big-time freshman players. Like, wait a minute, maybe we can win with these freshmen like we once did a couple years ago. Like, what's your thoughts on that?
I think the freshman is important as far as continuity within your entire roster and guys that you can retain if you can retain them over the course. Now, in terms of winning the actual national championship and who's in your starting lineup, now that's a different debate, in my opinion, just because was there not a stat that they showed in the last 4 or 5 years that there was only 1 freshman in the starting lineup of those national championship teams? And I think that was UConn with Castle. All the other teams had upperclassmen in their starting lineup. But can you win? Yes. I mean, it's been proven before. Now it just hasn't in this NIL, I guess, in the last 4 or 5 years. But it's going to happen again. I mean, especially when you talk about Duke's going to win one eventually, and I hope we get there too. But yeah, in terms of freshmen, yeah, I think you can. If that answers your question, I wouldn't say completely no.
Well, let me shift gears then to Mason. Mason's along those same lines. You see what Michigan done this year. 5 transfers, the first team to ever do this. 5 new guys. So I love that Colton had brought up, like the program thing. Like it doesn't forget 2 years. Dusty May done it with 5 new starters. Like, I mean, like it's like, that's us right now, Kentucky, in a sense. Like, we're getting some starters back, but like, what does that mean moving forward for college basketball? Does that mean anything to other coaches, do you think? Or is this going to be a thing that we're going to see a lot more of, like completely just throwing out every single roster every year? I mean, this is only like the second, third year that we've really seen this portal. Like, we're still in the thick of it, I feel like.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I think freshmen still play a big role, right? And those are going to be kind of your guys that, you see, or like the stars, right? Because they're coming in, they're getting drafted high. You know, some of these other guys have been in college for 2, 3, 4 years, whatever it is. They're still getting better. They're still working their way up. But your freshmen are still going to kind of, if I could say, dominate the media, right? They're going to be what everybody talks about. But I think moving forward, like when you think about roster management and building a team, you think about all 5 transfers, it's kind of the same as bringing freshmen in, right? Like you're getting all new guys coming into your system. But would you rather have these guys coming in who have proven that they can play at the college level, they understand the pace, they understand the physicality, or would you rather have these freshmen who, you know, they've been playing high school ball, they've been playing on the circuit, but they've never been in this college game. They don't understand what it's like to play 30, 35 games, 40 minutes a game, you know, against the physicality and the athletes that you're going to be going against every game. So, I mean, I think for me, it's kind of like the transfer portal is kind of like I think you have to have a combination of both, right? Like I think you do have to have 1 or 2 of those freshmen, but I also think that you have to rely on that transfer portal very heavily, which is what we've been seeing the last couple of years. And I mean, we'll get into it here in a minute, but it's been crazy since the portal opened today.
Yeah, I mean it's wild.
Hey, let me
One
answer it
last.
this way. Let me answer it
Go
this
ahead.
way too. And did y'all happen to see the cow? And I'm not. This is not a cow debate. Did y'all happen to see the cow and Jay Billis? Did y'all see
Yeah,
that?
it was really interesting. It got really deep really fast.
So here, and I agree with Jay Billis on this. These freshmen, you might as well just consider them rookies. Quit calling them freshmen; they're rookies. So these transfers we're getting are free agents.
Yeah.
Just let's just look at the roster construction from that standpoint. So in the NBA, yes, do you see rookies leading championship teams? It's very hard, but can it happen? Yes.
Hmm.
So that would be, I guess, a correlation in my opinion.
Yeah, and for the ones who don't know what we're referring to, if you've not watched it, it's a good little 3 to 5 minute segment of Jay Billis, Seth Greenberg, Jay Williams, and John Calipari sitting down and basically just talking about the whole portal thing. And it got into really, really detailed information that I really didn't know. That I feel like Jay Billis just
He's
knew
been
it
holding
right.
on to that for a while.
Yeah, I was like, where is this? Like, he has been like, he knew his stuff. And I'm not a big Jay Billis fan, but I was like, man, like, I would not want to go, I would not want to be in a detailed conversation with him about that stuff because he knows his stuff. One thing though, I guess to end on this before we get into this Kentucky stuff, I want each one of you all, because I thought about this today. I'm like, okay, so let's just take, if you are Mark Pope right here and you're watching Dusty May and Dan Hurley, what is it that you take away from those coaches? Because obviously they are in a spot that you want to be at. Is it recruiting? Is it coaching? Like, what is it that stood out the most to you of just the coaching aspect of it that Mark Pope needs to take notes on, that he needs to put that in his bag moving into next season? I know what mine is, but I'm gonna let you all go before I get going. And that, let's just start with Mason. We'll go Mason, Trey, Colton. Give me one thing, and then we'll move on to Kentucky stuff.
I think the biggest thing that stood out to me, and Colton's touched on it a little bit, but like looking at Dan Hurley and UConn, like that roster, like it's not great when you look at it, right? Like they don't have studs. They just have a bunch of guys that he built around his system that bought in, that played hard. And you looked out there. I know, Dylan, you said it last night. You know, you texted us like, "Man, I'm just tired watching this in the first half, like watching UConn's offense." And I was like, "I thought that's what Mark Pope's offense was supposed to be like." You know, so I think for me, it's not so much about like I know Pope has had his downfalls in recruiting, but I think it's been proven. Like, yes, you know, Michigan had Yaxel Lindenborg. They had the Mara guy who turned out to be great. He's just huge, I think. Like it's so hard for people to guard him, right? But I think it's more important now about the roster construction and being able to build guys that or recruit guys that fit your system is my biggest thing that I took away from last night. Because I don't think either one of those teams were the most talented teams in the country. You know, I know Michigan has talent, but you look at UConn, like we all know Dan Hurley's a great coach, but I think this may be the best coaching job he's had. Like what he did with this team to be able to get them to the national championship, how hard they played, how well they played together. So that's my biggest takeaway.
Yeah, I agree with that. I guess what I noticed from the construction standpoint is especially if we're talking about UConn. They had 2 starting guards that are just they're men. I mean, they're not going to beat you to death from the 3-point line, but they can guard. They're physical. Caravan and Mullins were their shooters. Really all they had was 2 shooters, in my opinion. And Reed was a low down low. And then you look on the flip side of that, Morris Johnson don't get he gets some credit, but I don't think he gets enough credit for what he actually does for that team. But going back to the game, and I know we didn't really dive deep into it, but we harp on Pope, we harp on Cal, we harp on some of these other coaches, and I know you said you didn't watch it, Dylan, the second half, but UCLA was 0 for 8 from the 3-point line, and all of their points outside of free throws come from inside the paint. They
UConn.
didn't make anything outside of the paint. Everything, right?
Was it UConn? You said UCLA. You mean UConn?
No, yes, UCLA. UCLA made everything in the paint, no threes. They were 0 for 8. UCLA was. Go back and check it. First half. And I say this because we all agree.
I'm a little lost.
Okay,
UCLA.
you're talking about the UConn UCLA game.
Yes, UConn UCLA championship game.
Sorry. I thought we
championship game first half. UCLA's up 3. Every one of their points outside of free throws come from inside.
UCLA didn't play in the national championship.
It was Michigan. What are you talking about?
Michigan.
We were
I'm thinking of Mara. I'm thinking of Mara. He come from UCLA.
I was like, are we talking about the girls? UCLA, they played in the national championship.
I was thinking of Mara. I was thinking of Mara just beating him to death. He come from UCLA.
He was really really making sure UCLA. I'm like,
no, I was thinking of Mara, and I just remember the graphic of the transfers, and it said UCLA. Yeah, I had a brain fart there, but we go back to the coaching, and I think we all agree that Dan Hurley, if he's not the best, he's in the top 2 or 3. So. And I watch these games, and I know you guys do too, especially you guys that's coached. You watch these games, especially when they're not Kentucky, and you just you look and you try to go along with them and coach along with them, and what would you do and pick things. In the second half, he never went zone. The team was 0 for 8 from 3, was getting beat to death in the paint. That's everywhere where Michigan was scoring. They were in foul trouble. And he never went zone. So that's where I go back to these coaches, man. Like they are going to stick to what they do, and if it gets them beat, it gets them beat. And if we go to Pope, hey man, if you're an offensive guy, let's just go score a ton of points. Go.
That's a good point.
Construct your roster around what fits you, and basically screw everything else, and see what we can do.
Colton, give me another one. I know you already mentioned something. You got anything different to add on to yours?
My biggest thing is that you just have to pick a style that you want to play. And I felt like Pope maybe has a mind of what he wants to do, but then he just kind of like abandoned it. It's like that we had what we did the first year, and a lot of our offense was kind of what UConn's was. There was a lot of movement. You didn't have a star on the team. You had a lot of back doors. You had a lot of stuff like that. And then all of a sudden you start hearing that we don't have enough athletes. We don't have enough depth. And he completely went another way. Well, like Dusty May's style was we're going to be bigger and physical. Like that's what we're going to live off of. Like we're going to bully you the entire time. Like that's their style. I'm going to form a team that's big, and we're going to bully you the entire game and wear you down. And
St. John's on steroids.
It really is. I mean, that's what it was, and then it was, and then UConn's strategy was essentially like they're going to take what they have, and they know that they ain't got one-on-one talent, so we're going to move everyone constantly, and eventually you're going to get lazy and lose one of them, and we're going to find that guy. Mullins, Caravan, or random Reed. That's what they do. They just constant movement, and it's like, hey, someone's going to get just a little lazy, and we're going to find them. And I just think that that's good coaching, and I'm afraid that they just I don't know. It worries me because I'm afraid that like Pope hears all that noise and like he's so invested with the passion for the university that he's kind of afraid of going away from just being who he is. Which who's the two coaches at our university who probably was the like they're going to stick to who they are. Patino and Cal, right? We talk about their attitudes. I mean, I feel like Hurley and Dusty May both have that similar type of mindset of we're going to stick to who we are. So,
Yeah. No, those are all good points, and that's a good point that you brought up, Treg, about, I didn't even think about that because I didn't watch the second half, but, I mean, you are right. They Michigan was killing UConn in the paint. I mean, that's where they were living and dying when he refused to go zone. Mine's pretty easy, but it's one of those things that's very easy, but you got to really analyze and find those guys. If I'm Pope, I'm looking at UConn and Michigan both, and I guess more so Michigan, and just finding the right guys to fit your system and living by what you said on the system. I look at Yaxel, the Big Ten Player of the Year, played terrible the first half. I think he had 2 points the first half. Like he was terrible, but that's whenever they have another guy step up. And this year, we had that occasionally, but would that have been done in a March run or in a national championship run where you have a random Colin Chandler great game? Or if I felt like we just lived only with Owe and Aberdeen. And then I'm looking at you look at the box score here at Michigan, and you got 13, 12, 8, 19, 4. Like, it's a very balanced. And I know it's not all about scoring, but just finding guys who own and know their role and is going to step up in the ways that they can step up in. Like, they're not going to do something uncharacteristic. They're going to stay within their assignment, and they're going to step up in that assignment, which will feed into other players and themselves being better than who they probably are. And that's just, I think that Pope done a really good job the first year on that, finding guys who are capable of doing that. And like you all said, this year kind of went out of that. So that's what I'm looking forward to most coming into this year, is like finding those guys to fit his system that are going to get more out of what they are. So that would be my biggest thing. Colton, was you about to say something?
no,
I will add
I was
something
gonna
to that,
agree.
to what you're saying though. Those two teams, they never go on long droughts offensively because Reed was the guy down low that they could pound it into, UConn that is, and get a bucket. And Michigan, I mean, they got, Lindenborg and Morez and Mara. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
and they can just exploit the matchup. They were never going to go offensively in a drought because, and today's game is about shooting threes, but there's also something to be said for still pounding it down on the block and getting an easy bucket. And if you look at
Just
our
make it
team,
simple.
we just didn't have it. 2 years ago, we had Williams, and to a degree, we matched up with Andrew Carr and, tried to feed it down to him and, got some easy buckets, but we just didn't have that this year. We didn't have that guy.
Mason, was you about to add something as well?
I was just gonna say, like, everybody's talking, like Pope kind of got away from, and this kind of segues us into our next segment, talking about UK and the transfers and stuff. But I mean, from what I've been hearing and reading, it kind of seems like Pope shifted back to just finding guys, looking for guys that fit in his scheme, right? Like, I know there's some guys on there that are a little bit more athletic, but I can't remember who it was. I was reading on X, but he went live on X and was talking about how, Pope's kind of leaned back into finding guys that fit his scheme and fit his system. So that makes me feel a little bit better. Just let's see if he can land them.
Yep. So getting into Kentucky, that segue, let's get right into it. So the transfer portal open, and it has been, again, the wild, wild west. So let's just start with who is staying, who we know is going to be returning. As of right now, we officially know Cam Williams, I think, is a huge comeback. He stated today that he will be returning. Malachi Marino, he has signed and returned a deal with Kentucky, but is going to test the NBA draft waters. Can't say that I blame him. And, it's something that, Oway done it last year. Unless he gets told that, like, yeah, you're going to be a lottery pick, I fully expect him to be back. I don't expect him to actually be a lottery pick. Then you have Reese Potter, who will be returning. Braden Hawthorne publicly says he's coming back, so I'm going to take him at his word unless you all have heard something new. I've not heard anything else from that. But let's just, I guess, talk about the two guys real quick, Malachi Marino and Cam Williams, just because those guys played a lot of minutes this year for us and what that means to get them back. Mason, who's the bigger get here for you? Is it Marino, Williams, or, I mean, is it not really a bigger get on each? That they're both, I mean, they were must that Pope needed to get back.
Yeah. I think for me, I want to say this, though. Like Moreno, from what I've heard, he was willing to take a pay cut to stay at UK, which I think is awesome and big for a hometown kid willing to do that and come back, and wanting to build a better roster. So I think that's awesome. But I think for me, it's Cam Williams, just because, like, I feel like he was really starting to find his stride there right before he got injured. I saw a stat earlier talking about his 3-point percentage. He started off really slow. But then there was a stretch of games after that where he was like 33%. He was shooting like 46% or something from three after he started off so terrible to start the season. And I think we talked about it last year. I think he's the type of guy who has on our team last year, probably one of the most NBA tight bodies that we had on the team. Kind of that 3-and-D guy that you need. And I hope that Pope is not. I think he could fill into a starting role with us if he improves, but I'm hoping he's kind of like, our sixth man off the bench who comes in, gives us that shooting 3-and-D. And I also think Moreno, like I love Moreno to death, and I talked about how he took that pay cut, which is awesome. I just, like, you look at Moreno and you look at Mara and Johnson. Moreno is getting his lunch ate by both of those guys right now. And I'm glad that he's back, but we got to have some bigger physical guy down low who can handle some of those bigger guys. So I think for me, the bigger keep is Cam Williams.
Trey, do you think Marino is looking to be a starter next year, or is it, just going to see kind of who we get? I mean, I'm not even really put much thought into that. That's a good point, Mason. I mean, is that a thing where we get Marino back and it's kind of maybe what we got last year where it's like not going to expect him to be a starter, but then he ends up beating our starter, or is it going to be like he's coming in and that is going to be our starting center?
I would expect him to be the starter. I wouldn't expect him to take a pay cut and take a lesser role. I guess that's just my opinion on that. I do think he is probably. I personally think he's the most important, just because when you watch that game last night, you see how important the 5 is. And I know we talk guards, but I do think if he develops and he gets stronger, man, he could be a difference maker. But he has to get stronger, to Mason's point. And and his hands have to get better. If they do, I could care less about the 3-point shooting. You didn't see any of them guys shooting threes last night at the 5, man. I don't care about that. But he could be a force in the middle, if he keeps developing. Now, does he stay 2 more years? I don't know. And how much more can he develop in 1 more year? Time will tell. But Cam's an important get too. But I guess I would pick Marino just simply because, if the list that I've got, man, some of these small forwards I'd really like to have. But Cam's been there, and I think a big thing for him was when he started getting consistent minutes, and when he got that, I think that's when his game really changed, and then unfortunately got hurt. But there is a lot to look forward to with him as well.
So shifting gears a little bit about who was staying, now let's go to who's leaving. So confirmed people who will be leaving for next year. We have Mohamed Diabate. He has entered the transfer portal after just one season, averaging 8.8 points per game and 5.5 rebounds per game. Brandon Garrison also has entered the transfer portal after 2 seasons here. Jasper Johnson, our in-state freshman guard, he declared for the portal. Jalen Lowe, who we got last year from Pittsburgh, has entered the transfer portal. Andre Yelovich entered the transfer portal today on Tuesday. And then Denzel Aberdeen is also going to try to get another year of eligibility and be a grad transfer. That was kind of a shock to me. But Colton, kind of looking at some of these guys, maybe just talk about who is one guy that you was on the fence about. Like, I feel like we all knew Jasper Johnson was going to leave, but who was maybe somebody that was on the fence that you would have loved to have kept, but you know, they just decided it's best to part ways, whether it be playing time, pay cut, whatever it may be. Who was somebody maybe that you was looking at like it'd been a good get to keep, however they decide to go elsewhere?
I mean, maybe this is controversial, but to me, I mean, I don't think anyone was expecting the whole Aberdeen situation. I mean, I think we'd all love to kind of have Aberdeen back. I don't think no one's like anti-Aberdeen this whole season. Like, I think he did his role for the most part, especially in SEC play. He did his part, especially not having to be a true point guard. But to me, I'll be honest with you, I was kind of hoping Yelovich stayed. I really was. To me, he has a higher like a ceiling there of an NBA type like guy, because truth is, like, his shot is pretty decent watching it. Like, I've seen guys that have a lot higher 3-point shooting percentage that has a way worse looking shot. Like, he's got a pretty shot. He just didn't make anything. But I sit there and think to myself, if he just shot 38% or so from three, would we have not looked at Yelovich a lot different than what we did? Right? I think he never really got a consistent rhythm from the three. But now the few post moves he made down low, but I think he's one that if he got a little bit more muscle on him, the more he gets adjusted, and he got better as the year went on. I felt like the more he got adjusted to the college game and the speed, I just think he's another one. Like we talk about Cam Williams being one of the NBA type bodies. To me, Yelovich is one of the NBA type bodies, right? That guy that stretch four that I'm just saying, like, to me, he looks like a guy that is going to go to Illinois and probably in 2 years and
I said the same thing today.
he's going to average 15 to 17. I mean, he's the one guy that I think.
This is what I hate about the transfer portal, and really, the JQ thing. It sped up probably Yelovich's timeline at Kentucky, because if we could have just buried him on the bench and let him practice, and if he not got any playing time, maybe he comes back just to say, just because he's curious. But he's mine too, honestly, because he's another guy. If he gets more physical, gets in the weight room, gets a little bit bigger, he's the guy I'm most curious about. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you either. I'm a little sad about Diabate just because
Oh yeah,
just because he was the one transfer out of them all that I was the most excited about because of what he did at Alabama. And I thought, he started doing that for us. But that being said, I'm fine with it because him and Marino,
he probably wasn't worth the money that we were paying him.
Yeah,
he probably wasn't worth the money we were paying Diabate. That's the
I
problem with him.
thought all along the man should have played the 5. I mean, you got guys in the portal right now. That the number 1 portal guy, center, he's 6'9".
Oh, yeah.
That's exactly what Diabate is,
Yeah.
and he's listed as a center.
Well,
like, why
I
could
think
we have
what's
not
really
loved him at the 5?
Yeah, I think what's really hard for Diabate is that was my guy. Is that one, the money, he's going to want to get paid more than what we're going to give him. But two, in today's game, I think with Diabate, I think undoubtedly, like, you have to have that type of player on your team. However, that type of player in today's game usually is like that 6-7 man. And if he's going to be a starter, he's got to be able to bring some type of offense. And I think that's what really hurts Diabate's game is he has no shot. He can't really create for his own, but he does all the other stuff that you have got to have. And that's why I love him, because he's always getting that extra offensive rebound. He's able to switch and play the 5, like you said. I just think that what it comes down to is for him is like, I'm going to go make some more money because somebody out there is going to want a Diabate for a starter.
St. John's.
But I think,
where's he going?
Yeah, right. I mean, I love that call. I mean, that's that. He's another. What's his name that we had at Kentucky that turned out to be a lot.
Bryce
Who's at
Hopkins.
Bryce Hopkins. I mean, it's
way
just
more athletic.
so hard in today's game. I feel like to just be a starter and have that crucial role of scoring. And I don't know if that's where his mindset's at, but I would have loved to have had him as that 6'7" guy come in. I mean, that's pretty much what he done. And then he ended up starting with the whole Yelovich, which was wild, that whole half of the year where Yelovich would play the first 9 to 10 minutes and then Diabate would play the rest of the game. But I would have loved to have Diabate back. I think that that's a big piece gone because you got to find somebody to come in and do that because you have to have that type of player. The Denzel Aberdeen also, Mason. I want you to talk a little bit about that. Like that would have been a huge get to return him. You know, I mean, like nobody. I was like, whenever I first read this, I thought it was fake. You know how I get all the time. Like I'll read something and I will send it and be like, look at the actual. It's like not Joe Tipton or not ESPN. Like and you're like, oh, they got me really good. I was like, this is fake. But man, I mean, to have a second year Denzel Aberdeen to actually just let him play in his natural role and not have to be a point guard, even though he was a really good guard there at the end for us with the limited amount of turnovers. Mason, I'm very curious of like where have you heard any talks about where he will go? Like, would it be
No,
great for us to get him back?
yeah, I mean, obviously, I would have loved to have Aberdeen back. From everything that I've read, though, I don't think it's very likely that he gets a waiver to play again because I don't think he had any injuries where he like redshirted or anything like that. I guess freshman year he only played in 12 or 13 games, I think, his freshman year, but still, it wasn't like anything caused him to not be playing. So, from what I've read, I don't think it's likely that it's going to get approved. But you never know nowadays. I mean,
Yeah.
you got guys that have been playing college basketball for 7 years now. So I think is it Cameron Fletcher who just got approved for his 7th year?
I mean,
So
that's
you never know.
crazy. He
But
played in
like
the
you said,
COVID season.
yeah. But like you said, Dylan, I mean, I think it would have been huge to get Aberdeen back because you think about everything that you said. One, he played out of position all season long for us. So if you can bring in a true point guard, they don't have to be a true point guard, but a point guard who can score and create on their own. And then you also have Aberdeen there on the wing to be able to run the point guard position whenever your starting point guard needs a break. I mean, I think it would have been huge to get him back. And I don't I don't know if he's just testing to see or, because I mean, rumors came out last year that we overpaid for Denzel Aberdeen, right? I mean, I don't know how much we were paying him, but were we sitting there telling him you're going to take a pay cut? I mean, I'd love to have him back, showing what he did this year. I mean, I don't know that there are many guards in the portal right now that I would take over him, honestly.
Yeah.
He's got to go through that process. He's got to go through that clearing process, and I just don't think Pope's got the time to wait on it. You know what I mean?
That's a good point too. We do. We
He
don't
just
have a
don't.
lot of time.
You don't. I mean, he. This is do or die.
Yeah.
And I just don't. I agree. He would be nice to have back for sure. But
Yeah.
Pope. I'm sure Pope said, we just can't wait.
Yeah. It's a good point.
All right. So the only guy that we've not really talked a lot about, and we won't spend much time, or I guess let's just move on, is Colin Chandler. I expect him to be back. I've not heard any true stuff to the whole BYU thing, so I don't know that that's really true news. But let's get into the portal targets that we're looking at. Mason, Colton, lead us, talk about some big name guys. We'll spend about 10 minutes here, and then we'll finish out the last 25 minutes on some master stuff. But who is some guys that Kentucky's looking at that we would be big gets for us, or some guys that are just in general Kentucky's not really focused on that would be big gets?
Yeah.
And then we'll just comment
yeah,
on them.
I'll start off with a couple here, and then I can throw it over to Colton. One that, I mean, we've been talking about for a while now, and right before we got on here, I just saw that we had another Zoom call with him today. Dink Pate coming from the G League, and I know there's, that stuff floating around out there right now. It may not be possible, but we're still in hot pursuit of Dink Pate, and he said from the beginning, if he wanted to come play college, he wanted to play at Kentucky. I think that'd be huge. I mean, he's a big two guard. He's 6'8", averages 16 points a game in the G League, 6.7 rebounds as a two guard, and 3.6 assists per game. So we had another Zoom call with him today. We're still in hot pursuit, even though I know everybody was talking about, Hart was the main guy kind of leading that, but we're still in hot pursuit of Dink Pate. So I think that'd be a good one to have there on the wing as our two guard. Also, a couple names that have popped up today as
Hold on,
far
I
as
do want to
before. Go ahead.
before you move on, I do want to ask you all this because this is something I'd heard something about this. I was like, that's a good point. So coming from Dink Paint, they wasn't referencing to Dink Paint, but I think of him for this instance. They talked about Jasper Johnson and how he was in. He didn't play. He played at what high school? He didn't play
Organized.
high. Where? Yeah, what did he play? Where was it? What is it called?
He went to Overtime Elite. Is where he was at.
Okay, overtime elite. Okay, so it's. I don't even know what that is considered, but it's one of those. They just use all their skills, playmaking,
Pick
go
up ball.
out, shoot, pick up ball. Yeah, pretty much pick up ball.
Yeah.
My only fear with that with Dink Pate, I'm not saying this is true, but are you all fearful of the G League being a little bit of a pickup type of basketball and him transitioning into more organized college basketball? Just a question. Like, is that something that you see that could be something that could hinder him, his happiness and what he's going to do as far as the effect it has on other teammates if he were to come to college?
I mean,
Just a
I,
thought.
yeah, I think so. I think I think there's a lot of guys that are still in college that are better than a lot of guys in the G League. Now, especially because you can pay these guys more than probably what the guys in the G League are making. So, I mean, just because he's in the G League, a minor league NBA, doesn't mean that coming to college he's going to be just dominant. I mean, these guys are good.
Right.
So it's going to be an adjustment. It's not just going to be like he's going to run through the league like maybe he is the G League. And there's a lot of guys there that they're not going to go to the G League. They're going straight to the NBA. So
Yeah, and there's a reason why they're there in the G League. I mean, just calling it spade to spade. But go ahead, Mason. That was just a thought I had.
Yep. Another couple big names that have popped up today. I've been telling Colton about this guy for a couple days now. Kind of leaked that he might go into the portal, but Donnie Freeman. I really like Donnie Freeman. 6'9" power forward from Syracuse. He averaged 16.5 points per game, 7.2 rebounds. Didn't shoot it great from three. He was like 31%, but still, I mean, you watch, he's got the skill. And I think he's only he might be a redshirt freshman. I think he's a freshman this year, but I think he played the year before and only played a few games. But I really like him.
Now, is this the same guy, though? Because I saw Trek shaking his head. Is this the same guy that's going to possibly be like the number one portal get as far as that position goes that all these other blue bloods are going to be going after? The Donnie Freeman from Syracuse?
He's got a lot of guys. Yeah, it's going to be going after
Right.
him.
So
yeah.
My question is, Trey, when looking at that, is this something that, Pope can have an opportunity here to kind of shrug his shoulder, go back and be like, okay, I'm here. Like I can bring in the big guys competing against the big dogs. Like I'm here. I can still recruit. Is this an opportunity for Pope? And then if he doesn't get him, like, is it something that's just like, okay, we've just proven that we still can't. And that's in the case of Tyrone Stokes. We don't get him. Like, that's kind of what are your thoughts on that? Because I really saw you shaking your head on the Donnie Freeman.
He seems to be one of the prize fish in the pond. But I go back to fit too. Like it depends on how he wants to play. If the man can't shoot, he can't play alongside Moreno and fit Pope's offense. So if he's not willing to play somebody dude's 6'9", I've got wrote down.
Yep.
If he's not willing to play a guy 6'9" at the 5, then I don't know. I don't know if that's an actual fit alongside Moreno if he's projecting Moreno to be a starter. Now, if he brings in a 5 that can shoot, then yeah, I mean that's a guy you really want to look at for sure. In terms
We'll
of
take
that
a break. Send it over to Colton. Colton, you got some guards that you're looking at that you've heard a lot of talks about?
So I'm afraid the price tag will be probably too big for him because it's not seeming like he's on our radar, but Blackwell from Wisconsin, I was a big fan there. Also, a little talk because originally there was a little talk last year about PJ Haggerty. I don't know if you saw. I mean, he averaged 23 points this year at Kansas State. Originally he left Memphis. There was a little talk about us getting Haggerty, and then all of a sudden he went to Kansas State last year. He's back in the portal. So those two guards, and then the guys that we had a Zoom call with today from Washington.
Zoom
His last
Diallo.
name is Zoom Diallo. He averaged, I think, close to 15 points or so for Washington, and like 6 assists or so. So he seemed to be pretty good. Washington, it's just hard to judge. Washington wasn't very good this year, so it's hard to tell like how good. If he was kind of stat padding because they didn't have a lot around him, or is he really that good? But right there, to be honest with you, and I don't know if y'all look though, I'm also very interested, not guards wise, but very interested in the big man from St. Mary's.
I had him on my list.
After watching Mara and some of these other guys have big old guys down low, the only issue I would have is since Moreno was returning, you would have essentially two bigs that were big, but neither one very mobile. Neither one really offer you a whole lot of mobility. Both kind of slow-footed a little bit. They're just bigger. So if you wanted to play any type of stretch, you would really need to bring in a guy like Trey was talking about, Mo Diabate playing at 5. If you wanted to bring in another guy like that, you would need to bring in a guy that's like 6'9" that can go, like when you decide to play that type of style, can jump into that 5 spot. Because otherwise, you don't really have a mobile big that way. But I am interested seeing like the Mars, seeing these big guys. I mean, I don't think it would hurt to have a 7'2", whatever the heck he is, on the team.
Trey, we got to talk about the one guard that did not mention that I've seen a lot of talk about that comes with some baggage that, are we going to go down this road again? And that is DeDan Thomas Jr. from LSU, averaging 15 points per game, 6.5 assists, shooting the clip from the 3-point line at 30%. There's been a lot of talk about UK pursuing him. And the reason why I say he comes with baggage is because he's battled injuries. He missed a lot of time this year for LSU. Would this be a big time mistake for Pope to go again after seeing the injuries that we've had with? I mean, we could just, I don't even want to go down the whole list, but we have had guard after guard after guard go down. Kirk Creasy, Lamont Butler, Jackson Robinson,
Jalen Lowe.
You have Jalen Lowe. You have, is there any other guards? It's just, would this be a mistake? Do we go and take this chance again?
The dude's talented because I remember when the portal last year, there was 2 point guards that I really liked, and he was one of them. Him and Donovan Dent. So the talent's there. Now the injury risk. I mean, yeah, it's a risk. So, but it's kind of like this, in terms of playing cards. Pope's he's got to push his chips in. You know what I mean? So, if he feels like the talent's there, and the medical checks out in terms of right now, then I think you go for it. He don't have much.
He's not very big,
outside of Chandler, we don't have a guard on the roster. Besides
that's
Mason
true.
Wicks. And when I'm looking at my list, and I was when you posed the question transfer portal, I'm trying to look through the guard list, and I'm thinking, man, it's it's slim pickings. Like I got the Juke Harris kid from Wake Forest. He's a combo guard, can fill it up. I did put 2 guards on there from the one from Providence. He's 6'7", Stephen Vox.
Yep.
And the dude from Virginia Tech, who I think we're getting a Zoom call with, he's 6'9". He's 6'9".
He was on my list too.
And then
what about the guy from Baylor, the combo guard? Do y'all know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
He ain't put in yet though, has he?
I
was just looking at the transfer portal, but y'all mentioned most of them, and I know the Miles Bird. I thought he was actually a 2 guard, but the transfer the 247 lists him as a small forward at 6'7". I heard there's some interest there with him too. The only other guy, you talked about sleepers. The sleeper for me, and I don't know if we'll go the route just because we're bringing back Cam. But Brant Byers from Miami of Ohio can shoot. and he's 6'8", and he is way down the list on the portal. And to me, that's a guy in terms of filling out your roster. Could be a guy, man. We've got to get some shooters, but we also got to get some guards too. Dude,
Yeah, I mean,
I just don't think Chandler can't be your second best guard.
No.
He just can't.
no.
I think. Go ahead.
I was going to say Tennessee went ahead and got that kid from Belmont, so you know what they're
Yeah.
kind of thinking too. You know, a guy like that, I feel like the guy from Miami, Ohio, could be pretty similar.
Yeah.
To the guy that Tennessee got from Belmont. He's shooting almost 40% from 3, 6 to 8.
But I've seen nothing in regards to this guy though. You would think coming off the season they just had, like, he would be a name out there. But I tried to do just a small bit of research for this, and man, like I just didn't see a whole lot. But I'm thinking, man, that guy, that has to be a dude that's not going to command a ton of money and can flat. That's got to be a roster fit. But then, like I said, the Cam Williams deal, like that's going to be that particular position is stockpiled in the portal. So like, what?
I don't expect him to be our. I hope he's not our star at 3, but
see, that's my thing though. Is if he's not starting, then that kid ain't starting. So do you go get him just to bury him? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, to close things out with the Kentucky stuff, I got one more thing I feel like we need to talk about. Just mention, let's take about 2 or 3 minutes on this. I want everybody to give their little take on it. There's been a lot of talk about, this whole debate about Kentucky fans coming in and ruining recruits, transfer portals. The fans are to blame. When looking at that, what's your initial thoughts? Just give me a quick 30-second take on it. Is there some truth to it, or is it just total baloney? Mason, where's your initial thoughts on it? Give me a real quick 30-second take on it.
I mean, listen, every fan base has them, right? But Big Blue Nation's bigger than everybody else, so it's louder than everybody else. And when we haven't been as successful as we want to be, over the last 5, 6 years, it obviously gets louder. So, I mean, yeah, I think it may play a little bit of a role. I've read something that there's a school that we compete against in recruiting who has like a snippets of like online things that they show recruits whenever they come in. So, I mean, I think it probably plays a little bit of a role, but like I said, everywhere has them. It's just BBN, we're a lot bigger, so you're going to hear a lot more of it, and it just kind of gets blown up. So I think it plays a little bit of a role, but not as much as what I think everybody's making it out to be.
Trey, you want to add anything?
I mean, it does play a role. The kid from Illinois even talked about it. I mean, you're talking about Illinois basketball, and he's talking about getting, these things through social media. But like, I go back to this. It's still social media. I mean, I could create a Duke account right now and just say the craziest things ever, and what I mean. So if these people are not taking some of this stuff with a grain of salt and realizing that it's, unless it's coming from like the local media, I mean, like, what, you're getting paid now.
Right. And that's a great point. And I think a lot of it, what it comes down to is, the haters are always going to be louder. Like, I mean, like there's only a small portion that is actually giving you that noise. If you actually get to the meat of it,
I just don't feel bad for them. I can't.
No,
I
agree. I don't either. And
if you were just on scholarship, eating from the cafeteria every day, yeah, I mean, I would feel bad for you. But I mean,
and I just don't understand.
Get your own personal chefs.
There's a difference between making it personal attacks and actually, critiquing and criticizing play. Like, it's really hard for me to sit here and talk positive about a UK player who comes in and doesn't execute, and their plus and minus is not good. They're not doing what we recruited them to do. They've had their chances. Like, at that point, it's like, what do you do? What do you say? I think for me, it's just that's the world we live in general. The social media is louder than it was back in the 90s and the 80s. Like, it's always been there. It's just now it's easier access. And that's with anything and everything in life now.
And it's not just Kentucky. Did you see what the people were saying about Caden Boozer?
Oh, yeah.
Oh man, there was one. It was bad. It was bad. There was one said that something about like his brother should have ate him in the womb. Like that's bad. That should not be posted anywhere.
People are awful.
That's terrible.
Bulldog, we'll close it out with you. Any thoughts on that whole situation?
I mean, y'all touched on it. I mean, yeah, obviously the things. I mean, guys are seeing it now, and I mean, it does. I mean, it's some of the things are terrible that they are having to read, which is not good. But at the same time, you are an employee now, and you're no longer just a kid. And at the same time, I don't think it really
But
hurts.
are
I
they
think,
kids? I really love that take. Did y'all hear whenever Jay Billison talked that like that? I was like, you know what? Like, are they kids though? Like, are they?
yeah, no, I mean, not really, but I mean, it's just to me, the thing is, I don't think it really affects recruiting though, because truth be told, I mean, it was loud during the Cal era at the last few years when we weren't struggling, but we still brought in that class of Shepard and Dillingham, and we still had JQ and Surreal, and we still had look. So, so I'm not going to give a pass to Pope on recruiting if they think that that's the reason we're not getting recruits because listen, I mean, maybe it's it, but I'm telling you, the right guy here would still be bringing in
If
the
I'm an
recruits.
agent, I'm just saying, hey, you don't get to download X.
Right. Yeah.
So
I
stay
mean,
off social
Yeah.
media.
Go sign for
Yeah.
the $3 million Kentucky's fixing to give you and be done with it.
yeah. I mean,
Come on.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's a good little segment. Let's get into our Masters draft, and then we'll hit up our Masters dinner. So what we're going to do is we're going to each pick 4. We're going to go in a snake draft.
Worst golfer gets to go first.
I've got M&Ms right here because they were laying next to me. We're going to go with Dylan Blue, Trey Green, Mason Orange, and Colton Red. So y'all can see me draw these out. This will be who goes first. This color, red. So who was red?
Bulldog.
Colton gets to go first. Then we're going to go green. Who was green? Trey.
Trey,
You
I
was
think.
green. And
Yeah.
then next will be me and then Mason. So we're going to go Colton,
Worst golfer goes
Trey,
last.
myself, and Mason. All right. Colton, who you taking
Carter.
first?
give me Mr. Scheffler.
Okay. All right.
Are you
So,
writing this down?
yeah, are you writing these down, Colton?
I
Or
can
do you
do
want
it.
me?
I got it. I got it.
You got it?
Write it
Okay.
down. Okay.
Hold on.
All right. Trey, who you taking? Hey, Xander?
Ooh.
Oh,
Who?
okay.
Xander?
He's taking Xander.
All right.
Man. That was out of left
Yeah.
field.
Wow.
All right. That means it's me. I love that this guy's available. I knew he was going to be, but
You're
I'm going to take him.
Bryson.
I want to take Mr. Bryson DeChambeau. Had a lot of
Yeah,
good
I knew
starts
it.
here lately. It's my guy. Love the way he's doing on the YouTube space and in plays. Had 2 wins on Live. So give me Bryson.
All right. I get back to back here, right?
You do.
All right. I'm going to go John Rahm and Ludwig.
Very popular
Okay.
pick also.
Cannot believe he's still open. Give me Rory. I mean,
The former champion.
the former champion, and like, did y'all see his press conference today? Like, he just felt like he looked really relaxed, and I mean, he's got the weight lifted off of his back. He could go back to back. So give me Rory.
All right.
Cam Young.
That's a good one.
I like it.
It is a good one.
I like it.
Give
Bulldog.
me Tommy Fleetwood and man, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and take it.
I know you're gonna
Me,
say
it's his first one, but I'm gonna take Chris Gotterup.
I knew it. I knew you was doing it.
all right, Treg, you're up.
Patrick
Oh,
Dang
you
it.
took mine. You took
Oh,
mine. I
you go.
literally was about to pick him.
I thought I was going to
about-
get him as my
I
last.
thought I was going to
You weren't
too.
gonna get him with the last pick. I was just wondering if I was going to survive 4 picks or not with him.
Patrick
Man,
Reed, is that who you took?
Yes, that's who I
Yeah.
was going to go with.
I think
But
he's
you
a
know what?
sleeper. Yeah, I think
My
he's
man
kinda
is
going
still
under the radar.
available. He just finds a way. Finds a way to always be in contention. Give me
I knew it.
Rosie. Justin Rose.
All right.
Not racing.
All right, I got back to back here. I'm gonna go. I can't decide if I want it. All right, I'm gonna go 2 foreigners here. I'm gonna go Hideki and Sungjae.
Who'd you go with?
Hideki
Yeah.
and Sungjae M.
So, okay.
All right. My last one is going to be a little bit of a sleeper. His game is trending. If he can if he can get that putter rolling and get some magic going, I mean, he's going to have the people with him. Give me Jordan Spieth.
Ooh. Love Jordan.
I don't know. Could be.
That's my boy, but I don't know.
I'm going to take him.
That Trig. Who's your last pick?
Well, I'm kind of between 3 guys. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Robert McIntyre.
Ooh,
Robert.
he was one of my final 3 too. But for the final one, give me Matt Fitzpatrick.
I almost took Fitzy.
Give me
I almost
Fitzy.
did.
All right.
You know who else
We'll
I
be
almost
sure
took? I'm surprised nobody did with Shane Lowry. I almost took O'Shane.
I almost took Akshay.
I did too. He was one of mine. Possibly. It was
lefty.
between him.
All right.
But I'll be honest with you, I skipped over Fitzpatrick. I probably would have took him if I saw. I'd saw him.
Fitzy's game
What,
is trending.
So
Yeah.
is Spieth's game. Just wait. Just wait.
Nobody took Morikawa.
He
Don't
don't
know the
play.
injury.
It's just his injury.
I don't know
it's
the
just-
injury, man. Maybe he was lit
right.
up for this. I don't know.
Colton, it was your idea. Introduce what we're going to do finally to end
All
our match.
right,
Oh, I
for
need
the
to turn
final
my Masters
thing-
hat around. Here we go. 2005. Who won the 2005 Masters? Anybody know?
Probably Tiger.
Tiger
I'm
Woods.
gonna say
Yeah. good chance.
He won his 4th
So-
green
Shot that
jacket.
Yeah.
He won in a
Um,
playoff against Chris Diamarco.
Oh, yeah, that's the
Marco.
05 one's the 05 one's the one where he did a chip in on 16, I think.
Oh,
Better than
see?
most.
Better
Oh
than
no,
most.
no.
The Nike or
No. That's 17 on players. They say it drips
No.
in
Yeah,
on
that's
16.
better than
the
most, but-
chip.
yeah.
I thought better than most was better than most. Not at Arnold Palmer.
No, better than
At Bay
most
Hill?
is the putty drank from the top tier on 17.
Oh,
Yes.
I thought he chipped in.
That's it.
Augusta's the one where he chipped in, right?
Yeah, he chipped
Augusta-
in on 16.
Yeah. Where it
But
it's
better
hung
than
on the lip
most
and then
was
it fell in.
Yes, but
Where it
better
showed
than
the Nike
most
symbol, it just like
is-
sat there on the Nike symbol for a minute.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think the better than most, that's at Salt. Is that at Sawgrass?
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was.
that's 17
Yeah.
at the players.
Yeah.
2001.
Anyhow, so obviously the Masters is the most known golf tournament in the world. If you're not a golfer, the one tournament you probably know about is the Masters. So one of the Masters traditions is every Tuesday night of the tournament week before they tee off on Thursday, they have a champions dinner that you're only invited to if you had won the Masters championship in the past. And you wear your green jacket, the famous green jacket that you win if you win the Masters. And so the one thing about the Masters is as long as you won that tournament, you're always invited to play in it. Like you have an invitation every year to play in the Masters. You don't have to worry. It don't matter how old you are. You have an invitation. So this dinner consists of all living champions that can be there. And so they do that every Tuesday night. So every year, the previous year's winner gets to choose the menu that they will be serving at the dinner. Obviously, Rory McIlroy won his first Masters this year, got to choose it. And so it's a fun time because everyone kind of starts to joke around about like what they would do for the dinner. You start seeing people post their own little dinner menu. And I thought that would be a pretty cool thing for us to do and kind of let the public decide what dinner you would choose. So
Side note,
I'm
did
going.
you realize that they have to pay for the dinner? I did not know that. Did y'all know that?
What? The champion does.
The champion has to pay for the dinner.
Yeah.
I thought they just
Yeah.
paid for the wine.
Oh, I thought it was the dinner.
It may
Well,
maybe
either.
so. I don't know.
Like, come on now. I mean, was it?
Here, I'd be happy to pay for it if someone.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think Rory's worried about it.
Yeah, they have to pay for the entire
meal.
meal. No, I know, I get it, but I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know that.
He's like, we're going to the dollar menu off of the.
we're going to McDonald's. What if my whole Masters meal tonight was McDonald's?
Change his menu right now.
Yeah, I'm changing it right now.
So the game here, the way we're going to do it, you got to choose 2 appetizers. You have a first course, so just what's going to come out. Not necessarily an appetizer, but it's going to come out before. Then you have 1 main course, and on this main course you can include, a couple sides if you want to include with that, and then you have 1 dessert. So
I didn't
essentially 2
include sides with my
appetizers.
main course. I just said my main course.
You can if you don't have to if you don't want to, but if you want to include like any sides that you would go with it, then put it in the main course, and then 1 dessert. So Mason, kick us off.
All right. Get us kicked off here. So
and
for my 2
go ahead and record this for us while you're at it.
So I'll just have you all send it to me, and then I'll post it.
Okay.
All right. So for my 2 appetizers, my first appetizer, probably not a popular pick, but one of my favorites, Bang Bang Shrimp. And then cheese sticks, another one of my favorite appetizers.
Now, wait. What kind of cheese sticks? Are we talking like a mozzarella, like a Sonic type cheese stick?
A mozzarella, yeah. Yes. Not like a stick of cheese, like a mozzarella cheese
Well,
stick.
I'm saying, though, like not like a Pizza Hut cheese stick.
No. We're talking mozzarella cheese sticks.
Okay, gotcha.
All right. First course, I'm going, keeping it simple here with the salad. I'm going Italian salad and some bread for my first course. And then for the main course, going filet mignon, loaded baked potato, mac and cheese, and then some grilled squash and zucchini. Throw some vegetables in there. And then my dessert, skillet cookie and vanilla ice cream.
Yeah. That's a good one. That's a good one. I mean, I'm all for. I mean, I would definitely attend the dinner.
I would definitely attend the dinner.
All right.
That's hilarious.
Oh, my goodness, there's a fight going on in the Braves Angels game. All right. Give us something. Craig, what's your dinner?
All right. So, in honor of past champion, also from Monroe County, Kentucky, my 2 appetizers is going to be a Dubby's cheeseburger dressed and squeezed as an appetizer. I'm going with.
They're not even going to make it past the. They're not going to make it past the appetizers.
I'm going with some Fannie Jean's tiger fries.
Oh man,
I had that today. I didn't have the tiger fries. Were they really good? I just had the regular fries. That's the first time I had it.
Oh yeah,
it was real. I had my burger and it was great.
So my menu's you got choice. So first course, I'm giving you the Eaton Table house salad and some hog stew. And on the main course, I'm going with some JD's shoulder dipped with the sauce to your perfection. You're going to have some choices here. You're going to get Anita's half chicken with the sauce that you would like, some backyard ribs with the sauce if you like. With some hash brown casserole, potato salad, vinegar or mayo slaw, and baked beans.
My goodness.
But if you
They-
don't like barbecue, you can go with the barbecue barn, catfish, and hush puppies. And for the dessert, since we're in Georgia, we got to go with some peach cobbler with vanilla ice cream. And also, I got to have my favorite, cherry cheesecake.
If you make it out of that
Loaded.
dinner alive, then that's saying something.
You're
Hey,
gonna be
I'm
in a
bringing all
food
the Monroe
coma for
County
3
women if I win
days.
the Joker. They're all coming.
Man, what a dinner that is. I mean, just that is. Whew. All
I wouldn't be
right.
able to move.
Yeah,
Hey.
once that dummy burger cuts down, they're done.
They're gonna miss their tea
Just
time.
ask Trevor Brown about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm trying. I ain't eating it. I already know, so I'm going back to back, baby.
All right, DG.
All right.
What
Well,
you
I didn't
got
know we was
for
doing
us?
sides, so I've been typing in some sides off the top of my head. All right. So the appetizer, we're going to start with 2 options. I'm like Treg. I like to give options. I'm gonna go with the truffle 3 cheese mac and cheese. That creamy macaroni with that sharp cheddarness. The finish with that white truffle. I mean the baked bread crumb topping. You got it all right there. And then also I'm gonna go crab cakes. The seared goldenness of it. Man, you can't go over there on. I love me some crab cakes. First course. First course is gonna be just a classic Caesar salad, the Parmesan, the romaine, the garlic croutons, and then finishing it off with some side Rafferty croissants.
Rafferty croissants.
Yes,
Rafferty's
man.
croissant.
If
Let's
you have
go
never
too.
had those, they're amazing. All right, so getting to the main course, this is where the money's at right here. We're going with either your first option is a 16-ounce hand cup ribeye, cooked to a perfect temperature, finished with some garlic herb butter for that richness. Then on the side, you got some roasted Brussels sprouts and a loaded baked potato. And then also, if you don't want to go the steak route, you got some seafood, which I'm going with the buttered poached lobster tail. If you've never had lobster tail, it is amazing. You got to try it. I mean, it is so good. So you got those 2 options. And then for my dessert, Mason already had it wrote down, going with the warm cast iron chocolate chip cookie on the iron, topped with ice cream with a side of some
I'm
coffee.
talking about. Ooh, coffee, I don't know. But I love the cookie and ice cream.
I'm gonna add a little warm coffee to end in the dinner.
I like
I'm just
it.
sitting here thinking of how how great you're leaving after hearing my dinner and Mason's dinner, and then how like gut wrenching you feel leaving Treg's dinner. Like I can't get that out of my head. Like I mean, call 911 now. As soon as that tummy burger comes out, they get a whiff of that. It is over.
Better fix some
All
more
right.
tiger fries.
All right, Cole. What is your dinner going to be? End us
Okay.
with a great dinner.
So you get 2 appetizers. We got a bloomin' onion,
I about put that on there.
bloomin' onion, and sushi.
Love the
Any
sushi.
kind you want. Yep.
Yeah.
You got sushi as an option as an appetizer. Your first course is going to consist of mini sliders, and these can consist of you have buffalo chicken, regular cheeseburger sliders, and like a Reuben,
Versatility.
slider, versatility there, along with Cheesecake Factory bread. So, and
Okay.
salad. We're going to throw in some greens, whatever.
And salad.
Whatever kind of salad you want. For the main course, I'm going to go with the 12-ounce filet as one option, or loaded chicken with the mushrooms and the melted cheese on top and a honey mustard sauce. Oh gosh.
The honey mustard sauce.
Oh man, it gets me. Listen, I eat it probably mostly like Colton's because it's nearest by, but it's the one thing I try to cook actually on the grill, like at times, is the loaded chicken. Man, one of my favorite things. So then, with the sides, you're going to have a choice of lobster mac and cheese. You're going to have a choice of truffle fries. You're going to have a choice of your Brussels sprouts. I had Brussels sprouts, but they're going to be the ones that are grilled with vinaigrette, sauce on them. And so I've got those three as my sides. And then my dessert would definitely be a brownie with ice cream. I like the brownie kind of a chocolate fudge sauce over top of the ice cream also to kick it off. So
Now I really want dessert.
listen, I'm just going to have to
Was
go
you feeling
through
that way
the road
after Trey
tomorrow
had
and
mentioned
stop
his?
at every barbecue. All I know is when we put these online, if we get a lot of votes, they come from Monroe because we're going to be like, hey.
Oh, they're not. They're definitely going to
there.
vote for Trey. Like, yeah, we want the W's, the barbecue, everything. He was just doing it for the fans, Well,
If I left
that's a
anybody
good.
out, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You if that Trey was playing that field, you just keep looking over and everybody's going to the porter potties, just like what is going on? Everybody's floodgates.
What was the guy last year who peed in the fairway or peed?
Yeah, that was Burnmaster, wasn't it? Or no, that was
Oh,
Burnmaster. The guy from Arizona State.
No, it was the amateur that
Yeah.
went
The
on
Spaniard.
to live golf.
Yeah,
Whatever
he
his
went to
name is.
Arizona State, didn't he?
Ballister.
Yeah, Ballister.
That's what everybody's gonna be after they eat Trey.
But did he go
I
to
win again.
Arizona State?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
That's what I thought.
think so.
Okay.
Same place Ron went to. The pipeline.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, going to be a great week. Still a lot of going on with the basketball stuff. Masters is here. Make sure to tune in to our socials. Share our pages. Share everything you got. We're on Instagram, X, Facebook. What am I missing here? What else are we on? Anything else? TikTok. Yeah, TikTok. But hey, we appreciate you all. This has been another episode of Bluegrass State of Mind. As always, go Cats.
Go Cats.
Cat.
That's a wrap for this episode of Bluegrass State of Mind. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Also, be on the lookout for our social media pages and be sure to follow them. We've got plenty more stories, insights, and conversations coming your way. And if you really loved it, make sure to share it with a friend. From the hills to the hollers, thanks for tuning in. Until next time, keep that Kentucky spirit strong.